Don't you just love football? The way narratives can change within a week is crazy. We've had a 12-point swing since before the Newcastle United game, which Arsenal played and won. In today's video, we're just going to be discussing all Arsenal, not necessarily what people are saying, but what the future may hold for us. But before I do begin, if you are new here, please do hit the subscribe and the like as well. It'd be greatly appreciated. And of course, a massive shout out once again to the guys at Dragon Jersey. You know the drill, football kits, they're the place for you. Code Fanatics for 10% off. But yeah, let's just get straight into it. And I've been reading quite a lot, obviously, as you do. A lot of positivity about Arsenal, and the narrative has changed. It's crazy because before the Newcastle United game, we were told if you don't win this game, you're out of the title race. And I mean, 8 points is a lot, but it's still only 6 games into the season at that point. And people were sort of writing us off, and that can happen in football. I'm not going to be the sort of guy and act surprised and shocked that people can write us off because I've seen it so much already. I've done so many videos about it. But it just shows this team is different, because a couple of years ago, I would have been reading all of this stuff and been really concerned for us. I would have felt like the media pressure is on us, and you know, we weren't able to cope with it. And to be honest, that was the case, I think, 2 seasons ago. I think it got to us. I think the World Cup break didn't help us whatsoever. But it almost felt as though any little pressure put onto us, it was felt. And as fans, as players, as a manager as well, Arteta, he felt it. But we've evolved so much. We're not going to get involved. We've been in a situation where before an international break, before the November international break, I think we were 5 points behind City or Liverpool. We've been in situations where we've been 8 points clear ahead of Liverpool and Manchester City heading into, you know, the festive season. So we've had both ends of the stick. We know how it feels to be chased, and we know how it feels to chase. So I think for the first time, let me know down below your thoughts as well. Are you confident? Do you feel as though this Arsenal has had far too many experiences now of being chased or doing the chasing, that you can't almost feel sort of worried about us at this stage? Like, you can hear people like Gary Neville saying Arsenal are in a phenomenal position. They have to be favourites. They have to go and win out this title now and be the sort of change they didn't see them be in the past 2 or 3 seasons where we didn't win it. You've seen people like Jamie Redknapp come out to say Arsenal are looking unstoppable. They are the team to beat. And that was the case 2-3 seasons ago, and you felt worried. I don't feel that worry anymore. I feel as though the players are quite happy and they're quite confident. You're even seeing them go out to international duty. You're seeing the laughter, the smiles. You feel the camp feels good. And I think the news of William Saliba signing on for 4 years, small things like that, you know, Gabriel in the summer, Lewis Skelly and Waneri as well. We're having positive news about Saka and Timber too. It just builds the sort of chemistry within the camp, and it's crucial to have that chemistry. It genuinely is, because if you don't have that chemistry, then what do you have? Mikel Arteta is a manager who's so right onto this whole point of the psychological side of football. I feel as though football has changed. I'm sure you guys agree, in terms of it's not just what you do on the pitch and ability, but the psychological side of things is crazy. Like the impact, you know, your mental state has on your performance, I think it's more than ever before, because of how much the media can dictate the opinions of the public. Like, for example, I'm going to talk about Victor Gyökeres, and yes, he's had so much criticism, but look, someone like Mikel Arteta can look at the way Victor Gyökeres is playing and be like, he's done good. I gave him a big hug, was actually what Mikel Arteta said after our last game. He said, I gave him a big hug because what he was doing was he was creating space for others. He was moving opposition centre-halves away so that the Sakas and the Ezes and the sort of Trossards had more space to operate in. So from his point of view, Victor Gyökeres is probably thinking, you know, I've done my job. My manager is quite happy. Obviously, he wants to be scoring goals, and he's not happy when he's scoring goals. And like, he's obviously going to be annoyed with that. But the feeling Arteta has towards him is not mirroring the general public. You know, the way that people are talking about it, I'm not going to lie, I'm very much included in that, in terms of disappointed in him not making the impact I thought he would. I know 3 goals in 10 games, you know, when you're thinking about a centre forward with 107 goals, it does look quite, you know, it's crazy how football is, because a goal every 3 games isn't that bad of a ratio. But I think the standards have grown for us. Like, if you had asked me Victor Gyökeres came to Arsenal 2-3 seasons ago and he got 3 in 10, I would have been a lot more patient. But I know how crucial this year is for just not Arsenal, but the fans as well. I think we've come close, and we've backed this team so much that any sort of slight sort of thing in terms of someone not performing is going to be over scrutinized, it's going to be over analyzed, and that's just the world we're living in. And the crazy thing is, Victor Gyökeres is top of the Premier League. I mean, what sort of better way to show you're making an impact but by being in a team which is top of the league? Look, it can be really as simple as that. Even if you aren't scoring or making direct contributions towards it, I think that's such a crucial thing in terms of he knows he's done enough to have Arsenal top of the Premier League, and that is very, very important. And then when we're sort of looking again at the injuries that we've got so far this season, like, look how people are able to come straight in. You're looking at a bench which had Miles Lewis-Skelly on the weekend. It had, Ethan Nwaneri. It had Martinelli. It had, Marino. Look, there's so many players that you can bring off the bench, and sort of Ben White's on there too, and you're sort of thinking to yourself, this is a proper squad. Like, where can you criticize Arsenal currently? I think that is the biggest thing, that there's almost not much you can criticize about us, apart from we were too passive at the start of the season, which again wasn't entirely true. When you're looking at the players that we had out and you're saying that we were too passive, it's crazy to me in terms of that was the narrative at the time. But in terms of Arsenal, there's not much that can go wrong. People are just being nitpicky now in terms of what can we criticize Arsenal about. I saw a massive whole segment argument about Victor Gyökeres, the penalty being stolen from Saka. Saka stealing the penalty from him. Let Victor Gyökeres take it for his confidence. People genuinely angry, slating Saka, saying how dare he take Victor Gyökeres' penalty. But I think we need to come together as a fan base, and I'll take it myself as well. Maybe we're being a bit too nitpicky. I think Saka 100% should be our penalty taker. He's our best player. He is Arsenal Football Club. Mo Salah is Liverpool's best player in terms of, the respect he commands from the other players, and in terms of the way he is on the pitch, and all of those things. Like Isak, Ekitike, Wirtz, they're all penalty takers. McAllister as well. Very good ones at that. But they haven't been able to take it off Salah, because there's just certain moments in which you're looking at your best player and you're like, I want you to take that. I mean, Saka's only missed, about 2-3 penalties in his Arsenal career. I know against Real Madrid that was a bad one. I know against West Ham as well in the 22-23 season there was one. But this is a really good penalty taker. I know Victor Gyökeres hasn't missed many as well. I think he's only missed one penalty in his whole career. And that's great for other scenarios when Saka's not on the pitch, and when it goes to a penalty shootout, we have an adequate taker. But in terms of, our star boy, somebody that represents Arsenal Football Club, I think we almost have to demand the arrogance from him. I feel like I would have been disappointed if Saka felt like he couldn't be arrogant. And it's not like Victor Gyökeres hasn't scored. With Havertz, it was a whole different story. He hadn't scored. I think, also the fact it was his 200th appearance. These are things that you've got to take into account when we're discussing it. But anyway, guys, that's it for now. Let me know your thoughts on the things discussed in this video. But until next time, peace.